Hey everyone, my name is Evan Copeland and I'm a drill writer. And today we're going to be talking about reading drill. Now, this is from the student's perspective, and that will be the focus of this lesson. If you're watching this video, it's likely because you're about to start setting drill. And setting drill is no small task. It takes a lot of concentration and a lot of preparation to make drill look good for you, your band, your family, and for your competitions or events that you perform at. It is crucial that you understand how to read drill and how to read your coordinate sheet. Every student plays an important role in making sure that the drill learning process goes smoothly and quickly. Now, to put it into perspective, if a band director has to stop to help individuals that don't know how to read drill, that can drastically slow down the drill learning process. To help one student learn their set can take a solid minute of time. And if you're in a band of 30 or 40 or 100 students and only have one person assisting, or maybe two or three, this can be the difference between setting 15 to 20 drill sets in a day's worth of rehearsals or setting 3 to 5. So don't be that band that gets left in the dust because you're not prepared to read your coordinate sheets. Make sure that you're prepared and pay attention throughout this video. So this is what a coordinate sheet looks like. You may already have it in your hands while we're going along in this video, or you might be prepared to get it in the next couple of minutes. But this is what students look at. This is what you see when you're walking around the field trying to figure out where the heck am I going. If you look at the top, making sure that you have the correct coordinate sheet, where it says symbol, that's the instrument symbol. Common instrument symbols used are these. For example, F is flute, T is trumpet, and so on. Each sheet also has a performer label. It can be 1 through however many people are in that section. If you have 25 trumpets, you could be label number 25. So the letter plus the number equals you. So when you hear a band director say something like N2, don't be the person like, oh, is that me? Whoops, and taking up more rehearsal time. Make sure that you remember what your rehearsal name is. Some unofficial laws of performer labels is if you are C4, you are officially dubbed the title of Dynamite for the season. If you are R2, you are officially dubbed Droid for the season. And if you are A1, you get the title of Steak Sauce for the season. Of course, these are just jokes, and your band director doesn't have to do this, but I always think it's fun. So, moving on, we have set numbers that are found on the left. Set numbers start at 1, sometimes they start at 0, and they can go as high as your drill writer has written for you. So if you have a lot of sets, meaning you're moving a lot, it could go all the way up to 60s. But typically bands in the high school area see between 40 to 50 sets in their show. So the term set is the term for where you stand. Set numbers define the order to execute them. So as your drill is being learned and your director is telling you where to go, he or she will say, move to set 4 or move to set 5. And you need to be able to read that chart so that you can find your next position that you need to move your body. For me particularly, this might be different if you're using someone else's drill, but the letter A stands for holds. So if you see 1, that's where you stand, and then 1A is how long you hold. Holds are places where you do not move or do choreography in place. So beside each set is the counts, and you can see them labeled here. The counts basically mean that this is how many beats of the music that you will be doing something. So if you look here, I have 1A, 40. That means that you would hold at 1A for 40 counts. Here's another example. It takes 16 counts to get to set 3 from set 2A. The 16 is beside set 3, which implies that it takes 16 counts to get there. This is where a lot of confusion can begin to happen. Make sure that where it says set 2, right here, and it has a 24 beside it, that's because it took 24 steps to get to set 2. And then 2A is where you hold for 40 because you've already arrived there. Let's look at another example. It takes 18 counts to get to set 4 from set 3. And once you get to set 4, you're going to hold there for 40 counts. After your 40 counts are done, it takes 8 counts to get to 5, and so on. And that's how you read down the count and set markings. Now, moving across this chart here, we have the left to right column, as seen here. The left to right column can also be referred to as your side to side. Now, either term might be used by your director. Just be prepared to understand what they mean if they say check your left to right or check your side to side. Warning. The next couple of slides I'm going to cover are extremely critical information. If you miss this information, you're going to drastically slow down rehearsal, and we need to make sure that everyone knows exactly how to read their coordinate sheets before we head outside. So, in the left to right column, or the side to side column, it starts with words that either say left, right, or on. These are taken from the director's point of view. So for you as a performer, you need to remember left is right and right is left. If you've ever done anything in theater or something like that, you've probably heard the term stage left or stage right, which basically means my left is my right is my left. It's the same concept for a performer on a marching band field. So this is from the director's point of view. You're looking down, you got your left and your right like normal. But it's flipped for us on the field. So it looks like this. You're looking out towards your director or the audience, and so your right is your left and your left is your right. This is very important to remember as you're setting drill, because you don't want to spend all this time finding your next drill spot and realize I'm on the wrong side of the field. So, on equals on the yard line. Outside means that you are away from the 50-yard line. The 50-yard line is found in the middle of the field. Inside means that you are towards the 50-yard line. So just think of the 50-yard line as your home base. So if you're going towards your home base, that means that you're moving inside. If you're moving away from your home base, you're moving outside. So this is a standard football field, full length. Some of your rehearsal sites might not be this big. It might only go to the 20s or the 30s. So you have the 50-yard line sitting right there in the middle. It's marked by that orange line. Here's the 45s. Notice they don't have numbers. Only every 10 yards have numbers. So every 5 yards, there is a line. So we'll continue. You see, there's the 40s. So here's the 50 in the middle again, and the arrows pointing inside, the arrows pointing outside and away. So before I move on, just making sure that you have a good understanding that every 5 is a yard line. So to go from the 50 to the 40, you will be hitting 2 yard lines to reach that point. So moving into the nitty gritty, you'll see where it says that there's steps inside or outside. There are 8 steps between each of the lines. There are 16 steps between each of the yard markers. So 2 lines. 4 steps inside or outside mark halfway points between these lines, as you can see marked by my orange dots. So let's cover some examples of how to cover your right to left or your side to side. This is an example that shows 3 steps outside the 30-yard line. Now this might confuse you because I thought outside was pointing towards the center. Well, this might be where you're standing on the field. We got 20 on the right, 30 on the left. That means 40 is further in and 50 is way further to the left. So in terms of this 30-yard line, 3 steps outside would be to the right. And if that's outside, then 1 step inside of the 25, which is between the 30 and 20, would be here. 1 step inside that middle line there to the left. And then on, so on the 20-yard line would look like this. You might need to practice this a little bit. The first couple of sets, it's going to take some time to figure it out. But for a lot of you, once you get that first drill set, some things will start to click. But this is going to help you guys out in further understanding. Don't let your band director put you where you are without you understanding why you're there. Make sure you have a full understanding of what everything means to help everything continue to move smoothly. The home visitor, or the front to back. You might hear the director say front to back or home visitor. Just know that that means the same thing. So I'm going to cover some very important things that you need to understand. So we are looking out at the field from the director's point of view or from your home stand point of view. Marked on the very bottom there is an orange line. That is your home sideline. Most people know what sidelines are. It's if they run out of bounds, it's from this line. But just know that this is the front or the home. Once you move further out away from the podium of your drum major or your director, you've got your front or home hash because that's closest. And then you have your back or away hash, which is the further hash. And then your rehearsal field might not reach this far, but if you're a larger band, it probably does. And when you're out there performing in the real football field, it definitely will be there. There is the back or away sideline, which is the furthest most solid point to guide off of when you're out there on that field. Now, again, front sideline, front home hash, back hash, back away sideline. So when you go from 1 yard line to the other, it takes 8 steps to get there, and it's 5 yards. So we use what's called an 8 to 5 step, which means 8 steps to 5 yards. So the front to back uses the same method of steps. So when it says 2 steps behind or in front, it means 2 of those 8 to 5 steps behind or in front one of those markings that I've just mentioned. So Here's an example of your front to back. You have 4 steps behind the home sideline. So you would take 4 of those 8 to 5 steps behind that front line up there, and boom, there's your front to back. Another example, 2 steps in front of the home hash. So that front hash there is the home hash. You would take 2 steps of your normal 8 to 5 step in front, and boom, 3 steps behind the away hash, which is the furthest hash. You would end up way back there with that orange dot in the middle. It might be hard to see, but that would be the place that you stand. So, being able to put these things together, making sure you know what set you're reading, making sure you know how many counts it takes to get there, making sure that you know your side to side, and you know your front to back. It's a method, and you have to make sure that you go in order and create a method that works for you. I personally use the left to right method. Number 1, make sure that you are on the correct set. Number 2, learn how many steps it takes to get there. Number 3, really check and make sure that you are left or right on the field. That right there, the left right, is the number one thing that kids forget, to check what side of the field they're on, especially if you're gravitating around the 50 a lot. And then my steps inside or out, and then what yard line I'm around. Once you have that set, then move on to your front to back. So find that, and then you're good to go. So, long story short, it involves a little bit of math, but be prepared. You need to stay very focused and always double check your work to make sure you're in the right place. And if you learn these methods of reading this coordinate sheet effectively, it's going to put your band in a very good position, a very competitive position to move very quickly this season and be ahead of the